Okay, so we did manage to get top 8 at the Rdiq. I got first place after Swiss, and unfortunately, our curse of whenever we win in Swiss, we lose the first round of Top Cut. I won the dice roll in top 8, and I felt great. I was like, cool, I win the dice roll, I win this match. Because I played against Tri Brigade Zoo, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I drew Ash Blossom, White, Legionnaire, Boot Sector. And I was just like, oh, I lose. Cool. It was the one time I drew unplayable the whole day. The entire day. And unfortunately, it was just in top 8. What deck did I play? I played Dragon Link. So stream cool so far? All right, then let's just hop into it. So let's start with the shoutouts. First of all, massive shoutouts to Corey, if Corey is still in the chat, because Corey, as you all of you who are regulars know, Corey just overnighted me the entire deck. Like, he didn't even know what I needed, so he was just like, here, just take everything. Just here, figure out what you need. Here are all my Dragon Link cards. And that actually came up for a huge reason, and I'll get into that in a minute. Corey makes my combo. Hi YouTube, I was here. So Corey, absolute pog. Massive shout outs to Corey. I could not have done it without him. Corey told me to play on the friendship sleeves, and I think he said this live on stream, but he was like, the friendship sleeves will draw broken, is what he said to me. And he was like, just put them on your deck, you'll draw insane. Like, just trust me. I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, okay. So I was doing test hands with the deck the night before, and I was drawing terribly. Like, every test hand I drew was like brick, and like one of the baby dragons. So like, it looked playable until you realized that you had no cards to like banish with babies. So so I was like really afraid. I was like terrified that I was gonna get into this event and just brick every hand. But that ended up not being the case. I only bricked in Top Cut. So shout outs to Corey, shout outs to Friendship Sleeves. Also shout outs to everybody on Team Playmakers and Grim YGO, at least for the mat. So huge shout outs to them. Also shout outs to Vic, who mailed the deck, because Corey just got the deck to Vic and then overnighted it to him. So huge shout outs to them. Also, and then shout outs to Will. Now Will is the last one I'm gonna shout out, because before last night, I was fully intending to sign up with the list that Mr. Cody Angry Bob sent me. Like, it looked like a very good list. It looked very similar to the one that I'd been playing on stream. And I was like, you know what? Like, I've already basically tested this list. I know it's a solid list. Like, we're gonna play it. So I was like very set that I was gonna play Cody's list. Until I talked to Will Candia, for those who don't know. And Will, I asked him how he was doing, and he was like, terribly. I've played nothing but mirror matches, and I've gotten draw and lock birded every game that I've played. I hate this. I want to cry. So, I was like, oh, I see. So, I should probably put Droll back in my main deck then. He was like, absolutely. So, give Twitch mods some love, of course. Also, shout outs to all the Twitch mods. Shout outs to everybody here on the Twitch for coming out. You guys are 100% the reason that I like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And enjoy doing this just all the time. And Brenda has to like drag me kicking and screaming away from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you guys are always here being supportive and lovely, and I love all of you. So huge shout outs to Twitch. But going back to the story about Will, because of me talking to Will, I shifted back to a deck list that is very, very similar to the one that we played for the extravaganza. So just to get into it, we started with 3 Ash Blossom and 3 Droll and Lockbirds. I did not play my copies of Droll and Lockbirds. I also did not play my copies of Ash Blossom because Corey, so the whole idea was that I was going to play as many of Corey's cards as possible and mix them in with some of mine for maximum friendship and love. So we played 6 hand traps. Droll was actually the MVP all day. So definitely happy I played these. So we then played our 3 safer. This is really standard at this point. Like, it's just your best normal summon. And I mean, like, you can tribute out of your hand, which is really good when you can do that. Unfortunately, we don't have the gammas in this list, so you know, tributing itself doesn't really bait as hard as I would like it to, but it's still really good. Oh gosh. So then on for the rocket package, we played 2 tracer, 2 synchron, and then 2 recharger. And this right here is part of why it was really good that Corey sent me the entire deck, because I only own 1 recharger, but Corey sent me the entire deck, so I actually had access to a second one. And this was really solid for me. I really liked having a lot of rockets in my hand to play with all day. And it actually came up a few times where, you know, if I wasn't playing it, my play would have been a little bit more convoluted. I would have had to play into hand traps a lot harder than I did. So it was really nice being able to just go like, oh, cool, I'm in like the mid game. Cool, special summon tracer, pop something, get recharge, and just go. So really, really solid. Really liked the second recharger. I'd probably play it again. And the other cool thing about it is, you know, it's like another 4 that you can sack out of your hand for a safer. And because it is a rocket monster, I mean, it's still good in the graveyard, so definitely appreciated it. Try it out if you haven't already. I think it's a cool ratio. And I didn't want to play the second Absol Router again because of how many Droll and Lockbirds Will said that he played against. So I wanted to just play another rocket name, diversify it a little bit, test out the recharger, and it worked out well. We then played the 1 Chambermaid, the 1 BMet, the white-black, Router, Brotar, Levy, Red MD, Nocto. I don't think I really need to talk about these too much. These 2 obviously go like softly together, so you don't play like 2 of this because I side these out when I go second. So I like to have just the extra normal summon there for the siding pattern, so I don't awkwardly have to side in like 1 card out of my side deck. It just makes siding really easy. This could have been a 3rd tidying, I guess, but I would have preferred just to have the extra normal summon again, just because I like to just side out the 1 and the 2 and just have the package just out of my deck when I go second. The Noctovision is not necessarily always played if you play the 2 recharger, but I didn't have anything else that I really wanted to play, so I just went with Noctovision. Also, I should mention that there was a slight thing with the deck lists when I was submitting my deck list. I was actually really lucky at this event because I sat down the night before to go submit my deck list, and I wasn't really set on how I was going to play my list yet. And I just had this list kind of like thrown together. And I joined the Discord for the RDIQ, and I noticed that the deck list submissions were closing at 8 p.m. on my time. I saw this at 7:55 p.m. So I kind of like panicked, and I didn't have a lot of time to like think about things. So the Noctovision was already in my deck list when I went to go submit it, and you know, maybe if I had more time, maybe this would have been a different card, but you know, I like Noctovision, so it stays. So that's it for the monsters. We then had 3 Chaos Space, 3 Quick Launch, 3 World Legacy, pretty standard. We put back in the Dark Rulers. So we've been testing triple tactical talent on the ladder, which I've been fond of. It's been okay. But with how much Dragon I heard was being played in the other pod for the other RDA queue, I really did not want to risk not having like just a blowout card like Dark Ruler if I played against like 5 Dragon Links. I didn't want basically to just rely on the dice roll every single time, so I put these back in. Kind of the deck just shifted back to where it was for the Extravaganza because of how I heard the other pod went, and it ended up being the right call. This in the main deck won me. It won me a couple games. It wasn't like super crazy, but there were definitely games that would not have been won if I did not have this card. So, and that was especially important for the first round of the tournament where I got my tie. So that was, I played against a Dragon Link mirror match, and in the Dragon Link mirror match, they were playing the Dragoonity build, not the version that Elise played with the DMZ lock, but their ending board was like Apollo, Savage, Hot Red with Tidying set, which I thought was weird. I'm like, you can just do that on the standard build, but I guess sure, like pop off. But because I had the Dark Ruler, I was able to completely crack the field and win that game. And we ended up tying because game 2, I think I did the same thing. I think I Dark Rulered him again. And I ended on Apollo, Savage, Hot Red of my own. You know, so same board that they made against me turn 1 or game 1. But I made it, you know, going second post side in the tidying build. And there was literally like a minute on the clock at this point. Like, so I was up a game and I was in pretty much an unlosing position, like a non-losing position. And my opponent just so happened to have Levianeer in their hand. Like, they just hard drew the Levianeer and they just slapped it on the field and attacked to get a tie. So that is how I got my round 1 tie. And then we did not lose from there. So Dark Ruler definitely good, because if I didn't have that, and everything had gone the same way, you know, I would have lost the first game. And then had everything gone the same way, I would have just lost round 1 instead of tying. And, you know, like then my whole matchups would have been different. The whole tournament would have been different. So very glad that I played this card. Set me on the right path. Then to finish out the main deck, we had the 2 field spells, very standard, and the 2 tidyings. We did not go up to 3 again for the siding pattern. We just want to have the 3 cards that we can side out when we go second. And, you know, I never really missed having more of these. 40, yeah, this is just 40 card deck. And yeah, I mean, I've considered playing 3 of this just to, like, you know, mill off a Pega or whatever. Because if you have one of these in your graveyard, you can always, you know, like banish it to get the chamber out of your graveyard so that you can protect yourself from Dark Ruler, but that never came up, so didn't miss it. Let's get on to the extra deck, because the extra deck is pretty darn standard. There's nothing really interesting about the extra deck, but we're going to talk about it anyway. We have, of course, the Savage, Papega, and Hot Red. Yeah, so these are like the main win conditions, right? But I didn't make Hot Red nearly as much as I did at during the Extravaganza and like the last time I played this deck. We went for the Apollo board much more this time, and I think that was correct because it was just very strong. Also, I've actually figured out how to make the Apollo board now. There were a few times even where we ended on like a super crazy board of like Seal, Apollo, Hot Red, Savage, Tidying, where at that point it's like, but how do you lose? How do you lose? You can't. You literally just can't lose if you make that board. That board's insane. Obviously the 3 Striker Dragons, we always play 3. You can't play less than 3. Because this is just how you grind with the deck, and you know, if I could play a 4th one, I 100% would, but unfortunately that is illegal. Then we still play the 2 spheres. I've seen some people start to cut the second spheres for other cards. Some people are playing like Beat Cop so that you don't lose to Contact C. Unfortunately that never came up for me, so I was glad. And some of the other players were playing other builds, you know. I think Elise played the DMZ lock version, so she did not play the second spheres. So, but we still did. We're lazy with our deck building. We're not doing anything cool or exciting. So he's saying he would cheat. Damn, that's crazy. Play 4 of a card if I could. Hell yeah. But unfortunately, I'm not allowed to do that, so I can't do that. Oh, there's still Link ones. I mean, LP Pisty. We don't have to talk about LP Pisty. Romulus, it gets Dragon Ravine. It summons Apollo. Hulk, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to do my favorite play in the deck, which is the normal summon a tuner, activate World Legacy Guard Dragon, special summon for lethal play. So Hulk didn't come up very much, unfortunately, but it's there for if you need it. Quad Boro for the last Link 2, again, very self-explanatory. You use it to just like recover from Nibiru, you use it to pop itself and special summon however many back. Very good. I think I used it a couple times today. It doesn't come up every match, but when this card comes up, you're usually winning because of it. So no Scarlet, people leave. Yeah, no, we didn't play Scarlet this time. Obviously you play the Boral Sword. I think I only summoned Boral Sword once. I had like a really weird event where I like never won in battle phase. People just always scooped, like, so it was like it was a very just kind of like seamless event, kind of like very, you know, like I'm gonna do my thing and you're gonna just allow it to happen. I think there were a few events where or a few games where I didn't even like need to go up into Boral Sword. I just won by like attacking with big monsters. I know the last round of Swiss, my opponent just didn't have anything. Like they were playing Prank Kids, and I Ash Blossomed the Dropsies. So they just had like 4,000 life points at that point, and I just had Savage on the field. So I just summoned Red MD and attacked for game. Sword just didn't end up coming up a lot today. It came up a couple times, but not too much. And then for the last one, the Apollo, since, you know, I mean, we wanted to make the Apollo board, so we did. It was good. As for the side deck is where we've made the most changes. So to start off, we played 3 copies of Contact C. This card was the card I was the most excited about going into the event. Contact C is really powerful because it hits 3 of the major decks in the format right now. It can hit Dragon Link, it can hit, like, this card just instant wins versus Prank Kids. Like, if you summon this against Prank Kids, they'll just concede. Like, they have no way to beat this. But you can also summon it against Dragon Link, and as long as they don't have, like, Quick Launch, or as long as they didn't normal summon a tuner, the Contact C just prevents them from playing, and they can pass. Yeah, I guess it randomly does hit Earth Machine, Super Pluto. And then it also, you can also use this against the Tri-Brigade Zodiac deck, which is the only time I sided this in against Tri-Brigade Zodiac and against Prank Kid. I did not see it until Top Cut, and when I saw it in Top Cut, I did not want to see it. I drew this card in my Top Cut match in a grind game 2 turns in a row, and that's why I lost. So how I lost in Top Cut in game 3 at least was my opponent had 0 cards. I had played through all their stuff, and they just passed on a field. I broke their entire board. They had no cards left, nothing on field, nothing in hand. They drew, set Revolt, and I started to push them because I had just made seals and pass. That's all I had on field, and unfortunately I could not seal their set card. So they revolted me, and you know, I was just sitting there with 2 Contact C's and a seal against a revolt, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then they drew Pot of Desires for turn after that. I was like, I see. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. So maybe we'll play this again in the future. I'm not sure. But this card was, in theory, this card was the best card in my side deck. Unfortunately, it just didn't get to be that card for me today, but I still like it in paper. We then had 3 Nibiru. I never drew it. I never drew it. Don't even need to talk about it. Did not draw Nibiru, but it is Nibiru. We're still playing 3 copies of Twin Twister, obviously, so that we can hit backer decks and we can snipe Pandemoniums as well as Schisms and Punishments and whatnot. But that I only did that against the Prank Kid player. And I think when I hit the Prank Kid player, I don't think they had Pandemonium because I think I Ash Blossomed them. I think they just had like 2 Floodgates or something. So Twin Twister was like, it did its job. It sniped some back row in the matchup it was supposed to, but I mean, I didn't. Then we played 3 Lightning Storm for the next 3 cards. This card is like interesting. This is like very last minute for me because these had been like Cosmic Cyclone or MST in the side. But I was going over my siding pattern and I was thinking to myself, you know, like with the Contact Seas in the side deck, I didn't have like, there was no matchup where I was going to be, that I had been siding MST for, that I was still going to have the side deck, like, or like the side ins and side outs to like continue siding it. Like I would constantly be choosing, it's like, well, do I want twins and MSTs or do I want Contact Cs and twins? So I was just like, well, I guess if I'm already in this position, I'm going to replace the MSTs with Lightning Storm. Because I can side these against the Tri-Brigade Zodiac deck, I can side it against Pure Back Row if I play against it, and these are actually really good. This is how I beat the Tri-Brigade Zodiac deck in round 5, I believe. Because in game 3, they just went set 2 pass, and I opened double Lightning Storm, plus a bunch of other spell cards. Like, I couldn't play, but they just went set 2 pass, I Lightning Stormed them. I activated Quick Launch, they ashed me, I passed. They just set more back row, and then I Lightning Stormed them again. So, and then I drew Seyfert, so I was like, oh, cool, I can play now. So, this card was good. I like this card. We like this card a lot. But yeah, that was the only time it mattered. So, that was cool. And then for the last 3, we played the triple tactical talents that we had been main decking. And these are just a swap with the Dark Rulers when we go first. And yeah, I did not draw them. Ever. That's all I have to say about it. I never drew this card. So, at Corey, your tactics are cursed, I guess. So yeah, that was the deck. Alright, let's go over the Apollo board for if whoever the friendo who wanted to see it is still here. I'm gonna start with like, I don't know, Seyfert, World Legacy, Guard Dragon, and I'm gonna put a Quick Launch in my hand because I don't remember if I need it or not. So we're gonna go Seyfert effect, World Legacy, Guard Dragon, and then we just get back the Seyfert. We would just do this on like this hand because you don't have another way to like, you know, like you just have the Seyfert, so you just have to put a monster back in the field. Striker. Striker would then get you the Boot Sect. You then banish for the Collapse. And then you link off for, I don't know, Spheres. Then you search the white. You can banish the Collapse for white. And then link 1 for wherever it is. LP. Use LP's effect, or use Guard Dragon to move LP. LP can then get you your, if I can find it, Chamber. Chamber gets you Tidying. You then would go for, okay, I didn't mean the Quick Launch. You would then go for Pisty. Pisty can get you back the Seyfert that you banish. Then link these 2 off into Romulus. Romulus then gets you your Dragon Ravine. And then you need any 1 extender from like this point, or like, so it's either Seyfert, like starter 2 extenders, or starter extender and World Legacy. Basically, will get you there. And then you just go for like Quick Launch, or whatever extender you could have. You know, like this works too if you go like normal summon Seyfert and just like tribute out of hand instead. That's counts as an extender. So you can just summon like whatever. It doesn't really matter what you summon off the quick launch, or whatever your extender is. Sometimes, like, say you already have access to, like, the chambermaid or something, or, like, you already have a tidying in your hand, you could always just, like, use the Dragon Ravine to, like, send a tidying and just get back the chambermaid, just as, like, a free body. So there's a lot of ways to do it. You just want to get to a board position that looks like this, and some random extender. And then you go those into Apollo. And then at this point you have, you know, you have the Tidying Ravine boot sector, plus you'd have 2 other cards, so you can just go like Dragon Ravine, pitch blank card for the Absol Router. Router would then get you the Tracer. Then you just boot sector for the Tracer, and then you can pop a little Legacy for a Recharger, synchro those away. And you can make the Savage Dragon, and then because you have the Romulus in the graveyard, you then have 2 negates on your Savage Dragon. So it's a little bit better than standard play, and then you should have like 1 to 3 cards in your hand, depending on how you got there. So that's just the basics of the Apollo line.